Jason, I have your first question, but first off, congratulations. Winning today must be pretty exciting for you. So can you explain more on that feeling?
It was a good win. The biggest thing that happened today was, the first two periods, I think I was in last place, and I'd pretty much decided that I was trying to figure out what time I was leaving to go home and things like that. And what's ironic is I am going home after today because I won instead of finishing last place. So a lot of people were surprised that I came back, in the last hour and a half, and probably nobody here is more surprised than I am.
Jason, you only caught one fish in the first period and none in the second period. How did you stay focused until you figured it out in the final period?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that I figured something out. I mean, really, it was just process of elimination. I felt like we had a really small zone, and on occasions, as anglers, we get clues. That's what we look for, is clues to build a pattern, put the pieces of the puzzle together. Well, I was given a clue right at the beginning of period one, and it was false. I kind of call it a devil clue. It leads you in the wrong direction, and that's what happened. I seen some milfoil that looked awesome. I caught a fish, and I just stuck with it. And I'm a stubborn fisherman. I stuck with it way too long, the entire first period and the entire second period, and I finally, I just had to give up on it and do something else. And through the process of elimination, in the small zone, I had felt like I'd fished everything else. So really, the only thing I had to do was run as far up the zone as I could and start flipping.
You kind of addressed this, but maybe delve a little bit deeper into it. Can you describe your most productive pattern and what your best bait was today?
My most productive and my best bait was my only pattern, and my only bait was the Christie critter. And what's funny is it's the same bait that I won on last year, and it's the same technique. And actually, it looks a lot like the same type of stuff that I was fishing last year. It's just flooded buckbush, laydowns, willows, and things like that. The thing about it is I had an hour and a half left to fish. When I got there, I had an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes left to fish. And what's funny is at the end of it, when time expired, I came to the last bush that there is. So it was almost like storybook ending. I was given just enough shoreline cover to fish in the last hour and 45 minutes. And just enough fish to make it. So if the tournament had gone another 3 or 4 hours, I don't know if I could have caught any more because I was out of stuff. So today was a lucky day.
All right, Jason, with 15 minutes left in the final period, you were only 1 ounce out of the lead. How intense was that for you?
Well, the last hour and a half is kind of like a dream. It happens so fast. But what I do remember is, to be honest with you, beginning of the period, I was thinking just to catch enough to make it to survival round, and then, all of a sudden I'm in fourth, and then I'm in third, and I tell the guys in the boat, I say, hey, a big fish, a 5 or 6 pounder, and I'm gonna have a chance to win this thing. And I caught what was a good fish, and weighing it, I was really nervous. I think maybe this fish is going to do it, and it puts me an ounce behind, like you just said, with 15 minutes left. And immediately after we weigh that fish, I let it go. I look, over to my right, 20 or 30 yards, and I see this big log jam in this creek channel. And I look at my camera guy and my boat official, and I tell him right there's where it's going to go down. Right there's where I'm going to win the tournament. And it was almost like I saved it till the end. I didn't intentionally do it, but I went on past it. I went on up in this little creek arm and turned around, and I told my boat official, I said, give me a minute countdown. I need 5 minutes, 6 minutes to fish that. And I rolled up there, flipped in there. I caught a fish that put me in the lead, weighed it, let it go, made the exact same flip, caught another fish, gave me a little cushion, game over.
So Jason, with this win today, you've qualified for the Summit Cup. Does this help you prepare for that event?
Yeah, it gives me confidence, not only for that event, for the rest of the year. Professional fishing is a roller coaster ride, and you have peaks and you have lows, and it seems like when you get on those highs, you can kind of ride them out. So, this event gives me confidence, not only for that event, but for other events this year. And I kind of conquered a mental hurdle that I'm one of those guys, a couple hours left and I'm not doing good. I kind of tend to, start thinking, the other things. And this was good for not only for Major League Fishing, this was good for my career today, just to make a comeback like I did in the last hour and a half. So, 5 years down the road and with 2 hours left and I'm not catching anything in X event, whatever event, I can look back and say, hey, I did it in that event, I can still do it in this event.
Jason, it was a real nail biter like you're talking about out there today. And you were asked about if this prepares you for the Summit Cup, but I'm curious, is there any way to get prepared for the Score Tracker Live? It's such a game changer out there.
Well, I've been asked that question, what's different in Major League Fishing than other events? And to me, it doesn't matter what event it is, there's dead times, there's lull times in the day. You're fishing, if you're not catching them, it's kind of dead. Nothing else is going on. In Major League Fishing with Score Tracker, there's no dead time because, like yesterday, in the first 5 hours, I caught one fish. That's about 5 seconds of fun. But with Score Tracker, I'm getting kicked in the teeth. The first two, I'm not catching them. Not only am I not catching them, I'm hearing that Faircloth and Rose and so are catching them. So there's just not a dull moment in Major League Fishing. And it's, like I said, it gets you thinking, it throws you off. You don't think about what you're doing, you start thinking about what Faircloth's doing or what Rose is doing. The positive part of that is whenever I start making my move. I start rolling. Faircloth is at 18 pounds, and I'm stepping up, and he doesn't catch a fish. So the tide was turned. They'd been putting pressure on me all day, and that last little bit, I put pressure on him. So definitely the Score Tracker keeps, it's exciting, positively or negatively, all day long.
Jason, this is your second win of the select events. Do you think this means that you figured out how to play the game?
I don't think I've figured it out. I've learned a lot. And the first event that we fished was the learning event. I went out with the mentality that, hey, these guys can catch all the fish they want. I'm going to catch big ones just like I do in other tournaments. Well, that took about 2 hours to realize that that's not how you play this game. This game is about numbers. And for instance, if I'm going to go flip, rather than flipping a jig where I want 5 bites, I'm going to flip something where I can get a lot of bites. I try to pick baits that I can get a lot of bites and potentially catch a big one. Big ones change the day, but numbers get you up there, and I think I'm learning. I still, I got to make quicker decisions like today. It took me too long to make that decision to get out of the grass and go where I went. So I got to make better decisions, quicker decisions. This is a fast-paced game, and you can get caught in a groove. You go to a lake that you've never been to, and you catch one, it just gives you a comfort zone. You don't want to leave there because, hey, I know there's a few that live here. Well, if you don't catch another one pretty quick, you need to get out because if you're not catching them, the other guys are catching them.
So you're talking about how Major League Fishing, it's fast-paced and the Score Tracker Live. Well, the event today had to shut down a couple of times for technical issues. What's that like to have to wait for the game to start back up?
Well, I really never got in a groove the first 2 periods, and that's when we had the delays or the malfunction, extended period, whatever you want to call it. But it's all about getting in the groove and getting in a rhythm, and whenever you have, you're fishing, all of a sudden just your boat official says, hey, no more fishing. And you don't know how long it is, you don't know whether to sit down and start working on something because you want to be standing up ready when it's time to go again. It just throws you off. It's just another, nail in the side of the head in Major League Fishing, things that I don't want to say mess you up, but they just get in your head. They're little stressors. Major League Fishing has millions of stressors every day, and that was just another stressor.
Jason, the Major League Fishing format is gaining in popularity with both the anglers and also with the fans. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just that it's different. For so many years we've all been programmed tournament fishing is this, and it's just, even though it's still cool and a lot of people do that, it's just something new. It's something fresh. you know, it's good for the fish. It's good for everybody. Really, it's a bunch of positives, and I think if I had to choose one thing, it's just something fresh, new, and what they see on TV is they see us, they see all the drama, they see how we react to fish catches, how, you know, this, and they want to feel the same thing, and with you know, being able to see what their buddies catch on the app, you know, to say, oh, you know, Billy Joe Bob, he just caught a 5-pounder. Billy Joe Bob, all he does is drag a purple worm. You know, I wonder if he's doing that. It just creates drama, and you know, the viewers are wanting a piece of that pie.
I think we like the drama, and as you were saying, overall, the fishing today was pretty tough. How do you mentally stay in the game when the bite is slow?
Well, I'm a slow kind of guy as far as I like tough tournaments. I mean, because I think it is a mental game. The only thing that was tough for me today was getting so far behind. I like tougher events because you have to just stay on your toes and you have to stay ready. You know, some of the most memorable tournaments that I've ever had, including major league fishing events, are tough tournaments where a 12-incher matters. Where you know, where one fish matters. It's not so much about 4-pounders and 5-pounders, and you just have to. It's tough. It's tough mentally, and you have to stay focused.
Jason, you were fishing at Dale Hollow Lake. That's one of the most famous lakes in the country, home of the world record smallmouth, 3 of the top 10s, and yet today the whole thing was basically about largemouths. Did that surprise you at all?
You know, it did. Whenever we unloaded the boat, I never even seen a sign. I didn't know where we were at, and Ott told me that we were at Dale Hollow, and that's the first thing that I started putting out smallmouth baits and things like that. And in the ride around, immediately 100 yards into the zone, I run across, you know, grass, and that takes me back to, it gives me a strength of flipping, you know. And I had kind of remembered, you know, that had somewhat of a largemouth population. But the thing about the smallmouth fishing, you know, from experience, is this is probably the toughest time of year to catch smallmouth. I mean, if we were here in February, I would have been smallmouth fishing. Now, I ain't saying I wasn't turning anything down because I expected to get bit in the grass with smallmouth. It was the time of year. I mean, I kind of stayed and one thing about it is Dale Hollow is a steep, for the most part, a pretty steep lake, which, you know, means there's not a lot of flats. And it's hard to pin a fish down in 50 foot of water. That's why the last period I ran up as far as I could and get them pinned down. You know, a fish in 3 or 4 foot, I can make one bite. A fish in 50 foot, he's just got too much room to hide.
Jason, you've done a lot in your career. You've had some great moments, some great wins. How does today's come from behind win rank in your career?
You know, it's definitely up there. The thing about it is, it's to me, I kind of put a feather in my hat today mentally. It gave me something to use in future tournaments. I mean, every tournament that I ever fish from now, and it gives me confidence to that the last 5 minutes are just as important as the first 5 minutes.
All right, anybody have anything else for Jason? No? Okay, thank you, Jason.